Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we uncover the juicy secrets hidden within those dusty corporate filings. Today we're diving into AbbVie's latest report, and let's just say things are getting interesting, especially when it comes to their earnings and what they're not forecasting. So buckle up, because this isn't your average boring financial read we're about to decode for you. Before we dive in, if you enjoy us breaking down these complex documents into easy to understand insights, please hit that subscribe button. And for even more insights and to chat with us and other viewers, join our Discord community. The link is in the description below. Alright, let's get straight to it. AbbVie, a big name in pharmaceuticals, has just filed their current report. What is the headline here? It is all about their earnings for the last quarter of 2025. Think of it like this, they're giving us a sneak peek, but there is a significant chunk of costs they are treating as a surprise. So here is the deal. They expect their earnings, both the official ones and their own adjusted ones, to include a massive cost of $1.3 billion. This is for something called acquired IP and milestones expense. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, right? Let's break it down. IP stands for in-process research and development. Basically, when a company buys rights to research or development that is already underway, they have to account for that cost. Milestones are payments made when certain goals are hit in those projects. Think of it like this, AbbVie is buying into promising research from other companies or paying bonuses for reaching big steps in their ongoing projects. This $1.3 billion hit is going to reduce their earnings by about 71 cents. Per share, that is a pretty significant chunk, affecting both their standard reported earnings and their adjusted earnings. Now, they're also quick to mention that these numbers aren't set in stone yet. They're still finalizing their books for the quarter ending the 31st of December 2025. So, while they're giving us these estimates, there is a chance the final numbers might be a little different. They can't guarantee these preliminary figures will be exactly what they end up reporting. Here is where it gets really interesting from a forecasting perspective. AbbVie, unlike with many other costs, does not try to predict these acquired IPRD and milestones expenses. Why? Because they say it is just too uncertain when and if these deals will happen and what they'll cost. So, this $1.3 billion charge is essentially a surprise expense that they were not guiding investors to expect in their forecasts. This is important because it means their previously announced earnings guidance for the full year of 2025 has now been updated to include this unknown expense. Let's look at the full picture for 2025. Their adjusted earnings per S-share for the entire year are now expected to be between $9.9 and $9.94. This range now includes that big expense from the fourth quarter. For just the fourth quarter itself, their adjusted earnings per share guidance is now set between $2.61 and $2.65. Again, with that expense factored in. What this really means is that without that $1.3 billion hit, their original earnings would have been higher, but these are the numbers they are presenting now. They are also providing more detailed guidance in an exhibit, Exhibit 99.1, which is basically an attachment to this report. This exhibit will give you a deeper dive into those 2025 figures, specifically showing how that acquired R&D and milestone expense is being accounted for. This is where investors seeking more granularity would look. Now, while this report is mainly about earnings surprises, it also gives us a snapshot of what securities are registered and traded. AbbVie's common stock, with a par value of $0.01, trades under the ticker symbol AbbVie on the New York Stock Exchange. This is their main bread and butter, the shares that most people are familiar with, but they also have quite a few different types of senior notes, which are essentially loans they've taken out registered on the exchange. For example, they have notes with a 0.750% interest rate maturing in 2027, traded as AbbVie 27. Then there are the 2.125% senior notes due 2028, under AbbVie 28, and another set of notes maturing in 2028, but with a slightly higher interest rate of 2.625%, trading as AbbVie 28. They've also got 2.125% senior notes due 2029, which are AbbVie 29. And looking a bit further out, 1.250% senior notes due 2031, traded as AbbVie 31. All of these are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, showing a diversified debt structure. Now, like most of these filings, AbbVie includes a section on forward-looking statements. This is basically a legal disclaimer. They're telling you that when they talk about future expectations, plans, or beliefs, these are not guarantees. The actual future can be very different due to all sorts of risks. They mention things like challenges to their patents, competition, difficulties in research and development, lawsuits, government actions, and even global economic downturns, trade disputes, and international conflicts. It is a standard but important reminder that the future is always uncertain, especially in the fast-moving pharmaceutical industry. And finally, as we mentioned, Exhibit 99.1 is where they've provided more detailed financial guidance. This is the exhibit that contains the actual data that sheds light on how they are incorporating that large acquired IP tree and milestones expense into their 2025 outlook. So, what is the story here? AbbVie is reporting a significant and somewhat unexpected cost related to acquiring research and development. This $1.3 billion hit is impacting their fourth quarter earnings for 2025, and they are very clear that they do not forecast these types of expenses because of their unpredictable nature. This means investors who are watching AbbVie's earnings guidance might have been expecting higher numbers before this announcement. It shows a company actively investing in future growth through acquisitions of ongoing research, but also facing large, lumpy expenses that make short-term earnings look volatile. Looking at this report, AbbVie appears to be making strategic investments in its future pipeline by acquiring promising research. This is a classic pharma strategy for growth. However, the lack of forecasting for these significant expenses, while understandable from a volatility standpoint, creates uncertainty for investors. It means that when these figures hit, they can significantly impact reported earnings without much prior warning. The company's disclosed debt structure, with various senior notes maturing between 2027 and 2031, shows a manageable approach to financing, but a large one nonetheless. The main risk highlighted, beyond competitive and regulatory pressures, is the inherent unpredictability of R&D successes and the associated costs. While their long-term strategy seems to be focused on acquiring innovation, the immediate financial impact can be substantial. Without seeing the specific details in Exhibit 99.1, it is hard to judge if this acquisition was a bargain or a bit too steep, but the timing of its impact on earnings is certainly noteworthy. In conclusion, AbbVie is signaling a robust appetite for internal and external innovation. But investors should be aware that this comes with significant and often unforecasted expenses. The company's core business, the common stock, remains its primary focus, but its debt financing strategy is also clearly laid out. The key takeaway is their proactive, though sometimes costly, approach to building their future product pipeline. Alright, that is our breakdown of AbbVie's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think these R&D acquisitions are worth the hit to earnings? Drop your thoughts in the comments below if this analysis was valuable. Hitting that like button really helps us out, and make sure you subscribe for more deep dives into corporate America. And don't forget to check out our Discord community linked in the description for more discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of Corporate Decoder.